What happens when two innocent brides accidentally walk into the wrong bedrooms, and wake up beside the wrong husbands, only to discover destiny never makes mistakes? In a world ruled by cold-blooded CEOs, ruthless secrets, and a past buried in betrayal, one night of confusion turns into a lifetime of unstoppable love, protection, and obsession. Stay with me till the end because this story will twist your heart, shock your soul, and make you believe that fate writes better love stories than we ever could. And if you crave dramatic, emotional, CEO romance stories with shocking twists, subscribe to this channel and never miss a heartbeat of passion again. On the night the city's most powerful business dynasty celebrated a double wedding that would merge empires and silence scandals, destiny quietly rearranged two lives with a single mistake. Twin sisters Ariba and Mare, born minutes apart but opposite in temperament. Ariba fiery, outspoken, impulsive, Mare gentle, observant, heartbreakingly soft, had agreed to marry the elite brothers of the ruthless Shah Empire, Zion Shah, the elder, a terrifyingly composed CEO known as the Ice King, and Rayan Shah, the younger, charming in public but emotionally barricaded behind a smile that fooled everyone. The marriages were strategic, born from a contract that would save their father's collapsing company and bury a lawsuit that threatened the Shah name, and although neither sister had been asked what they truly wanted, they accepted their fate with quiet courage, believing sacrifice was the price of family honor. But that night, beneath chandeliers and camera flashes, as fireworks painted the sky and champagne drowned out, a sudden power outage, later blamed on a technical failure, plunged the Grand Palace Hotel into darkness just as the brides were escorted to their respective honeymoon suites, and in the confusion of identical bridal lehengas, identical veils, and identical corridors lined with roses, the sisters were led into the wrong rooms. Ariba entered the suite meant for Rayan, while Mare stepped into Zion's private penthouse floor, and neither realized the mistake until morning light filtered through silk curtains and revealed the impossible truth. Ariba woke first, ready to confront the arrogant man she had mentally prepared to despise, only to find Rayan sitting on the balcony in silence, not touching her, not claiming her, simply watching the sunrise like a man at war with himself. And when he turned, instead of the cold command she expected, she saw something fragile, something wounded, and for the first time since the engagement, she felt curiosity instead of anger. In the other suite, Mare woke trembling, terrified of facing Zion's notorious indifference, but instead she found herself wrapped in a blanket she didn't remember pulling over herself, and across the room Zion stood rigidly distant, as if guarding a line he refused to cross, his eyes softer than rumors allowed, and when she stammered an apology for something she didn't understand, he surprised her by saying quietly, "You don't have to be afraid of me," words no one had ever heard him say to anyone. Chaos erupted by noon when the truth surfaced, elders outraged, lawyers whispering about annulments, public image disasters looming, but Zion, in a move that stunned the board, declared there would be no correction, no exchange, no scandal, stating firmly that fate had chosen and he would not insult destiny by reversing it, while Rayan, who had always lived in his brother's shadow, shockingly agreed, adding that for once in his life he would not follow a script written by others. The families, fearing media frenzy, decided to let the marriages stand, unaware that the power outage had not been an accident but sabotage from a rival conglomerate seeking to fracture the Shah dynasty from within. As days turned into weeks, something unexpected unfolded. Ariba, who had prepared to clash endlessly with a domineering CEO, discovered that Rayan's laughter masked survivors' guilt from a childhood car accident that had killed their mother and left him believing he was the reason his father turned cold, and her fierce honesty slowly chipped away at his self-blame, while Rayan's patient listening calmed the storms inside Ariba that she had never admitted were born from years of feeling second best to her quieter sister. Meanwhile Mare, who feared Zion's reputation as a merciless tycoon, began noticing the invisible ways he protected her, canceling meetings to ensure she wasn't alone in the massive mansion, memorizing her tea preferences, quietly firing a staff member who dared speak disrespectfully to her. And though he remained emotionally reserved, his actions spoke devotion louder than words. Yet beneath the blooming intimacy, shadows tightened as corporate espionage surfaced, confidential files leaked, stocks trembled, and suspicion fell cruelly on the sisters, whispers suggesting the bed swap had been orchestrated by them to infiltrate the empire. And when a hidden camera recording of the wedding night blackout was anonymously sent to the board, edited to frame Ariba near the circuit panel minutes before the outage. Zion's board demanded he divorce Mare to protect the company, accusing the sisters of calculated manipulation. What they didn't know was that Ariba had only been searching for her father, who had vanished mysteriously that same evening. The tension shattered the fragile peace as Rayon confronted Ariba with evidence that seemed damning, and for the first time since their accidental union, doubt flickered in his eyes, breaking her heart more than anger ever could. While Mare overheard board members threatening Zion's position if he refused to cut ties, and instead of crying, she walked into the boardroom uninvited and defended her sister with a courage no one expected, declaring that if love was considered weakness then the empire deserved to fall. Her quiet strength ignited something primal in Zion, and that night, instead of distance, he finally confessed that he had known from the moment she stepped into the wrong suite that fate had been kinder to him than he deserved, because he had once investigated both sisters before the marriage and secretly hoped he would end up with the gentle one who looked at him without fear. As investigations deepened, Rayon uncovered financial trails leading to their uncle, the very man who had pushed for the double wedding, revealing he had engineered the blackout to create confusion, planning to later accuse the sisters and seize control amid scandal, and worse. He had kidnapped the sisters' father to coerce silence. The revelation detonated the fragile alliances, and for the first time the Shaw brothers stood united not for business but for their wives. In a high-stakes confrontation at an abandoned warehouse by the docks, truths bled out. Uncle's greed, father's forced signature on fraudulent documents, years of manipulation. And when danger escalated into violence, it was Mare who shielded Zion from a gunshot, grazing her shoulder, and Ariba who pulled Rayon to safety as flames erupted from sabotaged fuel lines. And in that inferno the brothers realized love was no longer accidental, it was essential. The scandal that followed nearly toppled the empire, but public sympathy shifted when the truth surfaced, painting the sisters not as schemers but as victims of corporate warfare, and the Shaw brothers shocked shareholders by stepping back temporarily, prioritizing their wives' recovery over profit, a move that rebranded them from ruthless tycoons to fiercely loyal husbands. Months later, the empire not only stabilized but flourished stronger, built now on transparency rather than fear, and within the private walls of their estate, the once contract marriages transformed into something breathtakingly real. Rayon learning to cook because Ariba once mentioned missing homemade meals, Zion scheduling entire days free just to sit beside Mare while she painted, both brothers dismantling emotional walls brick by brick until vulnerability replaced silence. The sisters, once anxious about being burdens, found themselves cherished beyond imagination. Pampered not with jewels alone but with unwavering presence, guarded not like possessions but like priceless partners. Yet the most shocking twist came quietly one evening when old wedding footage, restored from raw archives, revealed that during the blackout, before any staff intervened, the sisters had instinctively reached for the opposite brother's hands in the darkness, as if their souls recognized something before their minds did, proving the swap wasn't chaos but cosmic alignment. And so the narrative that began as scandal became legend in business circles, a tale of two sisters who married CEO brothers by mistake and ended up rewriting destiny, proving that sometimes the wrong door leads to the only home your heart was meant to find. And in the glow of soft lights within their once intimidating mansion, laughter now echoed where cold silence once ruled, because fate had not just swapped beds, it had intertwined hearts, shattered generational curses, exposed betrayal, and gifted for broken souls a miracle they never dared to demand. Love that protects, love that heals, and love that pampers not out of obligation, but devotion that lasts long after the world stops watching.